July 8, 1961, 11:23 p.m., 125th Street and Lenox Avenue, Harlem. Bumpy Johnson stopped at a red light. Behind him, tires screeched. A car accelerated, too fast, too reckless. The crash was loud, metal on metal. The rear of Bumpy's Cadillac crumpled. Bumpy got out, checked himself, fine. Checked his passenger, Illinois Gordon, fine. Walked to the car that hit them, a red Corvette, brand new, expensive. The driver was young, maybe 23. Drunk? Obviously drunk. Stumbling out of the car, laughing, actually laughing. Bumpy approached, calm. "You all right, son?" The kid looked at him, looked at the damaged cars, laughed harder. "Oh man, my dad's gonna be pissed, but whatever, he'll pay for it." Bumpy studied him. "You're drunk. You shouldn't be driving." The kid's face changed, arrogant now. "You know who my father is? Anthony Strollo? You know what that means? Means my dad will bury you if you make a big deal out of this. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm leaving. You're fixing your own car, and we're gonna forget this happened." He got back in the Corvette, tried to drive away. The car wouldn't start. Damaged. The kid got out, kicked the car, looked at Bumpy. "This is your fault. You were in my way." Then he walked away. Just walked away. Left his car in the middle of the street. Left Bumpy standing there. Didn't apologize. Didn't take responsibility. Just arrogance. Just entitlement. Just the assumption that his father's name protected him. Bumpy watched him go. Said nothing. But Illinois Gordon, standing beside him, knew that look. "What are you thinking?" Bumpy shook his head slowly. "I'm thinking that boy's been getting away with things for too long, and someone needs to teach him what consequences look like." 48 hours later, a package arrived at Anthony Strollo's house. Inside were documents that made him write a check for $50,000. This is the story of how one drunk kid's arrogance cost his father everything. To understand what happened, you need to understand Anthony Strollo in 1961. He was 48 years old, a captain in the Genovese family, respected, connected, wealthy. He'd built his position through violence and loyalty. He was feared. And he had one weakness: his son, Michael Strollo. Michael was 23, spoiled, entitled, given everything, never disciplined, never held accountable, because Anthony loved his son, wanted to give him the life Anthony never had. So he protected him, covered for him, fixed his mistakes, and Michael knew it, knew he was untouchable, knew Daddy would always save him, and that knowledge made him dangerous. Not dangerous like a criminal, dangerous like a drunk driver, dangerous like someone who thinks rules don't apply to them. Michael had been in 5 accidents in the past 2 years. 3 were his fault. 2 involved injuries. Anthony had paid off everyone, made it go away, made sure Michael never faced consequences. And Michael kept driving, kept drinking, kept hurting people. Bumpy Johnson didn't know about the accidents, not immediately. But he knew something was wrong. The way Michael acted, the arrogance, the dismissal, the assumption that nothing mattered, that behavior came from somewhere, came from years of getting away with things. So Bumpy decided to investigate. The next morning, July 9th, Bumpy called one of his associates, a man named Raymond who worked at a body shop in the Bronx. "Raymond, I need information about a car, red Corvette, probably been in for repairs recently. Owner is Michael Strollo, Anthony Strollo's son. Find out what work's been done. Find out how many times it's been in. Find out everything." Raymond called back 3 hours later. "Boss, that Corvette? It's been in 5 times in 2 years, 3 front-end collisions, 2 side swipes. Each time the work order says rush job, pay cash, no insurance claims. Someone's covering up accidents." That confirmed what Bumpy suspected. But he needed more. He needed to find the victims, the people Michael had hit, the people who'd been hurt. So he called another associate, a woman named Clara who worked at Harlem Hospital. She had access to records, emergency room admissions. "Clara, I need you to look for something. Hit-and-run victims, past 2 years, specifically on routes where a red Corvette might drive. Check the dates against when that Corvette was in the shop. Find connections." Clara worked through the weekend. Sunday night, she called. "I found 5 cases, all hit-and-runs, all within 3 days of when that Corvette was repaired. Victims range from minor injuries to serious. 1 broken leg, 1 concussion, 3 severe bruises and lacerations, all unsolved. Police never found the driver." Bumpy asked for details, names, addresses, hospital bills. Clara compiled everything: 5 victims, 5 families, 5 sets of medical bills that had devastated people who could barely afford food, let alone surgery. The worst case was Rita Morales, a 34-year-old mother of 3, hit on March 15, 1960, broken leg, 3 surgeries, 6 weeks unable to work, hospital bills totaling $18,000. Her family had lost their apartment, moved in with relatives. Rita still walked with a limp, still had pain. All because some drunk driver hit her and drove away. And the driver? Michael Strollo. Bumpy was certain now. The timing matched, the location matched, the damage pattern matched. Bumpy made a decision. He visited each victim personally, introduced himself, explained he was investigating the hit and runs, asked about their bills, their struggles, and then he did something that shocked them. He paid their bills, all of them. Rita Morales' $18,000, James Cooper's $9,000, Linda Washington's $12,000, Roberto Santos's $7,000, Kevin Patterson's $4,000, $50,000 total. Bumpy paid it all, directly to the hospitals. No contracts, no strings, just payment. The families were overwhelmed, grateful, confused. "Why are you doing this?" Rita asked through tears. Bumpy's answer was simple. "Because someone should have done it 2 years ago, and now I'm going to make sure the person responsible pays me back." With the bills paid, Bumpy had receipts, legal documents, proof of payment, proof that these hit and runs had happened, proof that $50,000 in damages existed, and proof that Michael Strollo was driving a red Corvette that was repaired after each incident. It wasn't courtroom evidence, but it was enough. Enough for a father to understand what his son had done. Enough to demand reimbursement. Enough to teach a lesson. July 10th, 1961. Bumpy compiled everything into a package, 5 folders, 1 for each victim. Each folder contained hospital records, photos of injuries, repair shop receipts dated 3 days after each incident, and a bill. A bill for the exact amount Bumpy had paid: $18,000 for Rita, $9 for James, $12 for Linda, $7 for Roberto, $4 for Kevin, $50,000 total, plus a cover letter, simple, direct, formal. "Mr. Strollo, your son has been driving drunk for 2 years. He has hit 5 people, injured them, drove away, left them with bills they couldn't pay. I paid those bills because someone needed to. You owe me $50,000, not for me, for them. For the pain your son caused, for the accountability you failed to provide. You have 1 week to deliver payment to my office. If you don't, these documents go to the police, to the newspapers, to everyone, and your son faces consequences you should have given him years ago." The package was delivered to Anthony Strollo's house, July 10th, 3 p.m. Anthony was home, opened it, started reading, and his face went from curious to horrified in minutes. 5 victims, 5 hit and runs. His son, his Michael, the boy he'd protected, the boy he'd covered for, had left 5 people injured, had driven away, had never mentioned any of this. Anthony called Michael immediately. "Get home, now." Michael arrived an hour later, casual, unconcerned. "What's up, Dad?" Anthony threw the package at him. "What's this? Tell me this isn't real." Michael picked up the folders, looked through them, his face went pale. "Dad, I can explain." "Explain? You hit 5 people. 5, and you never told me." "I did tell you. I told you about the accidents. You paid for the car repairs. You said they were minor, fender benders. You never said you hit people. You never said they were injured." Michael sat down, quiet now, realizing the magnitude. I thought if I didn't tell you, it would go away. And it did. Nobody came after me. Nobody filed claims. I thought I got away with it." Anthony was shaking, with rage, with fear, with realization. "You got away with it because they couldn't afford lawyers, because they couldn't fight back, because they had no power. But Bumpy Johnson? He has power, and he just paid $50,000 to make this a problem I can't ignore." Michael tried to deflect. "So what? We don't pay him. What's he going to do?" Anthony grabbed his son by the collar. "What's he going to do? He's going to send these files to the police, to the newspapers, to the FBI. And you're going to prison for 5 counts of hit and run, for drunk driving, for fleeing the scene, for failure to render aid. That's years, Michael, years in prison. And I can't protect you from that, not when there's this much evidence. Michael's arrogance finally broke. So we pay him? We pay him, Anthony said, and you're going to apologize to every single victim, face to face, and you're never driving drunk again, ever. Because if you do, I'm done protecting you. You're on your own. Michael nodded, small now, scared, the reality finally hitting him. Anthony called for his accountant, had him write a check, $50,000, made out to Bumpy Johnson. Then Anthony did something surprising. He called Bumpy directly, asked for a meeting. That night, July 10th, 9 p.m. They met at a neutral restaurant. Anthony brought the check. Bumpy brought Illinois Gordon. They sat across from each other. Anthony spoke first. The check, it's all there, $50,000. He slid it across the table. Bumpy looked at it, folded it, put it in his pocket. Thank you. Anthony expected that to be the end, but Bumpy kept talking. This isn't about the money, Anthony. This is about your son. He's been hurting people, and you've been enabling him. You think you're protecting him, but you're destroying him because he doesn't understand consequences, doesn't understand accountability. And one day, he's going to hurt someone badly, someone who dies, and then no amount of money will fix it. Anthony's hands were clenched. I love my son. I know you do, Bumpy said. But love without discipline isn't love. It's permission. Permission to keep hurting people. Permission to keep being reckless. You're not protecting him. You're protecting his ability to be dangerous. Anthony was silent. Then, what do you want me to do? I want Michael to apologize to each victim, face to face. I want him to see what he did, see the limp Rita still has, see the scars, see the consequences. And I want you to stop fixing his mistakes. Let him face reality, because that's the only way he learns. Anthony agreed. Over the next week, Michael Strollo visited 5 homes, 5 families, 5 apologies. Each one was painful. Rita Morales cried, yelled at him, made him see her children, made him understand what his actions had cost. James Cooper refused to shake his hand, just stared at him. Linda Washington asked one question. Did you even think about me when you drove away? Michael had no answer. By the 5th apology, Michael was different, quieter, humbler, broken in a way that might actually fix him. Anthony watched his son change and understood what Bumpy had done. This wasn't revenge, it was education, teaching both father and son that actions have consequences. That money doesn't erase pain, that accountability matters. Years later, in 1968, Anthony Strollo attended Bumpy Johnson's funeral, paid his respects, brought Michael with him. Michael was 30 now, married, sober for 7 years, working a legitimate job, living a normal life. At the funeral, Michael approached Bumpy's widow. Mrs. Johnson, I wanted to thank your husband for what he did in 1961, for making me face what I'd done. I was a terrible person, and he made me better. I owe him everything. She smiled through tears. He believed people could change if they were forced to see the truth. That's the legacy of the hospital bills, not the $50,000, not the punishment, but the lesson. That enabling someone you love isn't love, that accountability is a gift, and that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is force someone to face the consequences of their actions. Michael Strollo never drove drunk again, never hurt anyone again, became a counselor for at-risk youth, spent the rest of his life trying to be the person Bumpy Johnson forced him to become. And Rita Morales? She lived to be 72. And when she died, Michael Strollo paid for her funeral, full cost, because he finally understood. Actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences teach us how to be human. If this story moved you, subscribe. Drop a like if you understand that the best lessons are the hardest ones. Share this with someone who needs to know that accountability isn't punishment, it's education. And in the comments, tell me, would you have handled it differently? More legendary stories coming next. Don't miss them.